Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the PorscheCooled Podcast. It's Friday. It's Friday's episode. It's not Friday at the moment. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday evening here in, I was going to say Bahrain. It's not Wednesday evening in Bahrain. It's Wednesday evening in London. Steve is here. It's Thursday morning in Sydney. Good morning, Steve.
Hi, mate. How you going?
I'm well. Do you want to tell the listeners about your sleeping issues again, or should we start off on something else?
They don't want to hear about that. They'll be able to tell by the grumpiness in my voice.
Steve has not slept. He's like he likes sleeping. He likes sleeping a couple hours here and there. That's basically where we'll leave it. What's happening, Steve? What's happening? How's the car? Tell me about before we get into the usual thing. I want to know about your. I want to go straight into it. I want to ask you about your issue from last week. Did it get fixed?
No. Well, it's in the midst of it. So the issue was that stupid little kind of window thing where it doesn't drop, or it drops at the wrong time and then it doesn't kind of go back up at the right time.
Yeah.
To kind of seal against the door rubber because they're frameless windows. So dropped it into Autohouse, and as Chris suspected, it requires changing the door latch, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it wasn't really a surprise. I was just kind of praying like crazy that it would just be like the micro switch, because that's what a lot of the forums kind of had said, and that sounded like a slightly simpler type fix.
Right.
But because Tuesday was Melbourne Cup Day, I didn't even realize.
Really, was it?
I'm living in such a bubble. Yeah. Tuesday was Melbourne Cup, and that's when I took my car in. So getting the actual part out of, because Porsche headquarters is in Melbourne, getting the part, there was a sort of delay. So I actually haven't picked up my car yet. I'm hoping that they kind of fix it. They're expecting the part this morning.
So what is it? Your car's been there for 2 days then?
Yeah. Yep. Not their fault.
For the listeners, Melbourne Cup in Australia, everything tends to people tend to not work that day, do they? They tend to die off at the afternoon when it's on, even though it's on in Melbourne.
Not Autohouse. Melbourne stops. It's a public holiday, isn't it?
That's right. It is too. Yeah.
So I'm assuming if you if you ring them up on a Melbourne Cup morning and kind of go, hey, we need this part really quickly. Because actually Chris pre-ordered it too. He was preempting it because I told him what the problem was. So he took the liberty of kind of preempting it, and there's still kind of a delay in it. I don't know. Also with COVID, I think there were Australia Post can't manage all their kind of orders and stuff. So when you kind of ship anything, it does actually take longer at the moment.
But Marco sent me a message about the knobs, right? The knobs from Latheworks. Yeah, from Latheworks. I was going to say Stuttgart Klassiker, then I don't know why. From Latheworks. And he said that it's been delayed or something because of the fact of United States Postal Service, USPS or something, isn't delivering to Australia at the moment.
What?
Something like that. He sent me a message. Sorry, Marco, I know you're listening and I probably got it wrong, but I read it quickly the other day. Something that it was delayed because now they have to use the courier because USPS, United States Postal Service, is not shipping to Australia due to COVID or whatever. There's been delays or reduction in their services or something to Australia.
Oh, right. That's weird.
I think I did a search on it actually, and I think it came up. So I don't know.
It was about a month ago where Australia Post literally stopped taking new orders or whatever. They kind of sent a thing out and sort of said, we're not going to do new deliveries for 3 days because we just want to clear the backlog of orders kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I sort of thought that most of those things had caught up because I've been buying, detailing products and stuff like that, and they started kind of coming relatively quickly again. But yeah.
I have to say that's the one thing that's worrying me about coming back to Sydney is I'm so used to getting things. I'm so used to getting things delivered so quickly. We're like Amazon fiends here, I tell you. But ordering things so easily and returning things so easily, and even in Bahrain was pretty easy. You know what I mean? Bahrain was easy too because you use Amazon US and it was Amazon US was okay. Other things were not so easy. It wasn't that easy actually. But I was worrying about that, thinking we want to order things from from UK or from Europe, like furniture or car parts? Is it still going to be
slow,
possible? Mate. It's slow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, great.
Yeah, car parts are particularly slow. I mean, talk to Marco about that. But I think in Australia is a kind of bit of a call out. Like I've always found if you buy stuff from Gert at Carneuil in Belgium,
yep.
I have no idea how he does it, but sometimes you kind of get those parts like in a couple of days.
Really?
That's all the way from bloody Belgium to
that's good.
Sydney. But then if you kind of order things from, say, like Pelican Parts or, kind of other places like that, it can take a couple of weeks. So
I've never ordered from Pelican Parts. Are they any good?
I don't know if they actually kind of stock it themselves. I have a feeling they're a front of house for like a whole bunch of other people. Like I think I bought some Renline, like used one of their discount codes for like a Renline, sort of mounty type thing. And I think the order goes straight through to Renline, not through Pelican. But I don't
they're
know
just
that
getting
for a
the
fact.
percentage. They're just getting the affiliate sort of link from the sale or something.
I don't know. I think maybe, I don't know.
Oh, right. I've never bought from them. I mean, I was looking at Suncoast the other day because I realized I needed a new indoor car cover because mine is just like getting old and it's going to be so filthy. And I thought I may as well just buy a new one. So I was looking at Suncoast because I'm a fan of Suncoast, and then I was going to, the one here, what is it called? Design 911 UK, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I was thinking, should I just buy it here? And then
are they comparable? The prices?
Carry it with me. I think the price is about the same because the shipping with Suncoast is quite expensive. It's quite heavy.
Yeah,
it's got more expensive.
That's the downside with Suncoast for Australia is the shipping gets pretty hefty. But then, mind you, like I guess Australia's the arse end of the world, so it really does like pretty much anything kind of shipped that's any size or weight becomes kind of dear.
Yeah, no, it's a long way away. That's for sure.
Does that mean your gear knobs are ready?
I was looking at the sills as well.
Does that mean your gear knobs are ready?
I don't know, actually. I actually don't know.
Okay.
I haven't really been checking with Marco. I'm not really that fussed. Like when they come, they come,
Yeah, sure.
I got so many. I don't know. I haven't really checked. He just said something about you. I don't think they've arrived. No, I don't think they have arrived.
Okay.
But I've got so many things to fit, as all the listeners know who've been following it for a while. I've got all those leather parts. If I fit them, if I don't fit them, I don't know. See how I feel.
Are you going to be making some YouTube videos of this?
I don't know when I'm going to have time to do anything, mate. I'm struggling. You know what I mean? I'm really struggling because we have so many, and I'm not trying to be like one of these sad sacks, but so many things to do. You know what I mean? Like so many things to do, like with the car side of it, and then the house side of it, and just getting things back into order after 2 years.
Yep.
And then we've got a wedding to go to in the middle of nowhere because my niece is getting married, and she decided to get married in, like almost near Oberon. So,
Where's that?
Near Oberon in New South Wales.
I think that's where I did that rally drive thing in Jeff David's Autohouse rally car.
Oh, really? Well, she's getting married at a place called Edith at this farm. And she was supposed to be married in October, and I was missing it. And then they literally had to, I think the situation is because of COVID, they had the booking. And I think she was a bit upset about it. I know the listeners going, what are we talking about now? But this is the impact of COVID, I guess. And so her wedding got cancelled. And then basically they just had to take the next date they gave them. So it's like the 7th of December on a Tuesday. So they're getting married on the 7th of December on a Tuesday.
I got married on Tuesday, didn't I?
Yeah. Did you? No, you got married on a weekend.
Yeah. No, I didn't. We went all tight-ass style and just kind of picked like a random day. Yeah, because the majority of...
Are you sure? I thought it was a weekend.
Yeah. No, we didn't get married. We went kind of random and just sort of thought, oh, fuck it. Like, most of the kind of important relatives like Cindy's grandma and stuff like that, didn't have kind of proper day jobs sort of thing, and nor do I. So it's like, you know what? Let's just do it on a weekday. It's so much cheaper.
Cheapskate.
Yeah.
Cheapskate.
Exactly.
Well, hopefully the car, like I said, I said to my brother, I said, if my car's ready and that, I'll be driving, but if not, I'm going to have to rent a car, which is going to be annoying. And then we're trying to work out whether we should stay there or not. There's no accommodation there. Like, there's no accommodation. There's like this motor inn in Oberon. And then we think, maybe we'll go just stay in the Blue Mountains. We'll just drive an hour and stay at Hydro Majestic or somewhere in the Blue Mountains. But it's still an hour or so drive at, probably 11 o'clock at night after a couple of glasses of wine. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be up for that.
Well.
So
you're going to have to book early though, because I'm assuming like Sydney, sort of regional travel has only just opened up. So I'm assuming there's going to be like a shed load of people wanting to kind of just go.
Where? To there, though?
Go, well, anywhere, just, go on day trips. So like I'm assuming like accommodation in, places is going to be really hard to kind of get a hold of, because we were thinking about it for February.
Well, I couldn't believe the price of the hotel at Hydro Majestic in whatever it's Medlow Bath or Blackheath in the Blue Mountains.
Yeah.
Was the same price we paid for the hotel in Dubai a night.
Yep.
And the hotel in Dubai was a 6-star, like full-on luxury hotel. So, and that was for work, but it's literally the same price, which I think, how can that be? How can that be? Steve, let me just go through the usual. Welcome everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. What happened this week? Patreon. Let me start with Patreon because we have 2 new members for Patreon, Steve. Since my because last week I was saying how we didn't have enough people, had 2 new members join. Patreon is where you support the podcast. Patreon.com/PorscheCooled. Or just go to patreon.com and search PorscheCooled. It'll come up straight away. There's a page for it. We have 2 new members of Patreon. The first one is David, and I know David. David and I chat. Hi, David. David and I chat on Instagram. David's from Australia. I have mentioned David to you before, Steve. David had a 911 Carrera T, and he's just recently purchased a GT3 Touring. He's got a GT3 Touring, which is very, very cool. And I won't say where he lives, but he lives somewhere around Putty Way there on the Putty Road. Like he drives on that Putty Road. He knows where it is and everything. So he's somewhere around there. Thanks, David.
What version of GT3 has he got?
GT3 Touring, 991.2.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yep. So it's black, I think, David. It is black, isn't it? Yeah, it is black. It's a nice car. It's a really nice car. So hopefully we might get to see it one day on the Putty Road. So thanks for joining, David. Also, Matthew, I don't know much about Matthew, or I hope I don't. I always say this because he might have spoken to me on Instagram and I'm just, have a brain fade like I usually do. Matthew joined today. Not sure if Matthew has a 911, but Matthew, reach out to me. Let me know what you drive and I'll do a shout out next week. But Matthew's joined as well. Matthew. So thank you, Matthew, and thank you, David. Cool. PorscheCooled Owner Story, Steve, came up... Today, was it? Yesterday here?
Yesterday. No. Yeah, yesterday in Sydney. Yes.
I don't know whether you listened to it or not, Rich.
I did.
I'll tell you why I'm a little bit flustered today, and Steve knows already, is because I haven't had my laptop. My laptop is in for repair, and I haven't had my laptop for since last Wednesday. And I thought it would be like my wife's laptop, which was fixed in one day because it's the same problem, and it hasn't been fixed in one day, so I'm still waiting. It's actually in the store in Regent Street, London, so it's being fixed in the store. It's not being sent away, but it's apparently they're still waiting for the part. It's just like an easy fix when they get the part, but apparently they're still waiting for the part. So I'm on my wife's laptop, so I'm a little bit thrown with things today. What was I going to say, Rich? Yeah, so Rich, you listened to it? Rich had a good story. He had a good story. I don't think we've had no one on Owner Stories, Steve, that at 16 their father bought them a Porsche.
Yeah, no. I don't think that would be a very common occurrence.
But it was a good, I like Rich's story. Rich is a really nice guy. Hi, Rich. That poster on the wall, and I'll tell a funny story. Todd at Stone City Outlaw sent me an image yesterday on Instagram. And he said, is this the picture that Rich was talking about? And he said it was the picture. It's a 944 with this woman sprawled out on the bonnet in a very compromising position. So Todd remembered Todd remembered the poster and he found it. And that was the poster that Rich had on his wall as a teenager. And that's when he told his dad that, I really want a 944. And he saw one drive down the street and wanted even more.
Hang on a second. So how many episodes of owner interview things are you at? Owner chats are you up to? Like about 60, is it?
No, this is 56.
Okay. So of those 56, I'm going to take a wild guess that maybe about 41. Everybody sort of answered your question with, oh yeah, it's been the poster on the wall in my bedroom. But that poster on the wall that everybody's bloody talking about is like some porn thing, and the car is an incidental thing in the background.
No, the car is big in this. The car is big.
The thing that everybody's lusting after is the girl with no top on, sprawled across the bonnet. You can barely see the car.
Yeah, I've never seen that. I've never seen that photo before. And it was on a 944. So anyway, Rich had that poster. He really liked the 944. I won't give it all away. I always say this. I won't give it all away. He really liked the pop-up headlights. And then 16, his dad, he's walking to get the bus home from school, I think it is, and then his dad picks him up, takes him to the Porsche dealer, and buys him a 944. The good side of the story is, though, the really nice, this is what it's all about, is that he said his mum wasn't very keen on his dad doing that, but he actually paid his dad back. He worked on Wall Street. He made some money from stocks when he first started working, and he paid his dad back and gave him the money back for the 944.
Yep.
And also bought him a watch as well. So it's a nice story. I really like the story. But he crashed the 944. He had an accident, not his fault. And then he bought an E30 BMW. He had that CLK Mercedes. You'd remember those, Steve. The CLKs were very popular in
my mum had
Sydney.
one.
Speaking of those Mercedes-Benz, do you remember? I'm going to go out on a different angle here for a second. Do you remember when we used to go to the cafe in Surrey Hills in Sydney? And one day there was a black AMG
the red
Black
one.
Series out the front. Do you remember that?
Yep.
And I think at the time, you said, they're like 200K or whatever they were. They're like 200,000. Do you know there's one for sale on car sales?
How much?
I think it was 400 and something.
Yeah.
Or 500.
They're ridiculously rare.
Have a look. I think it's still there. I saw it 2 days ago. But those...
Get it. Teach Tash to drive in a CLK Black Series.
The thing about those Black Series, though, is that you see them in the picture on car sales. You see them in images. They don't represent very well, do they? When you see them in real life, I remember that day when we saw that one on the street. They're so fat and they've just got they've got a bit of a presence about them, haven't they? They're quite. They're a really nice looking car.
Yeah, it's very polarizing because I remember when they came out and Clarkson got one and sort of raved about it, and then I remember other journalists sort of really didn't like it. It's very, I don't know, it's sort of a little bit like 964 RSs and stuff like that, where same thing, apparently during that time they weren't popular. Journalists didn't give them the best raps because they generally sort of said that the suspension was too hard and you couldn't drive it on the street, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then,
that's the whole point,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then a decade later, they're sort of reviewed and they're worth like squillions. So funny. Just on the owner story thing too, you would sort of mention a little bit about the that option of the gear knob sorry, I can't remember his name.
Rich,
yeah. Sort of I have seen it before. I'm sure I'd sort of spoken to you about it before.
I don't remember it. It's very weird. I don't remember it.
Yeah, it's you don't see them often, but I definitely had seen it before. I think they can't a version of it had come up on eBay or Gumtree or something in Australia like ages ago, and I sort of thought, do I want that? It's like, no, it doesn't fit. It doesn't suit a GT3 in terms of the style of it at all. But
I had a look at the image, actually, the image that Rich sent me, and the parking handbrake is actually quite nice. It's that stainless steel.
Full aluminium?
Yeah, the aluminium stainless steel, which look pretty good.
Yeah, it's just very shiny. Like, I know it's brushed, like it's not like sort of fully polished kind of thing, but it's a big slab of kind of metal. Same
very
with the
expensive
kind of gear thing. Yeah, right.
So yeah, let's go back to Rich. Rich had his, he had a E30 after his 944. He had a CLK. Then he bought a 2001 Boxster. He bought it. It was a year old, Steve. He bought it in 2002 because he wanted a manual. He started driving that car. He owned the Boxster for 17 years, and over the 17 years, it was pretty reliable, which was an interesting part of the story, I thought. And he only traded it in 2019 for his current Porsche, which is that 2007 997.1 Carrera S Cabriolet, 6-speed in midnight blue. I do like the midnight blue. Do you like the midnight blue? Is that what the color your uncle has?
Yeah. It was a very common color in 993s as well, I believe, and always liked it back in those days. So it's one of those kind of classic kind of Porsche colors, I think.
Yeah,
not quite as classic as something like Guards Red kind of thing, but it feels like it's been a bit of a mainstay for quite some time. It always looks good.
But Rich wanted that color. You heard the story. He wanted that color. He wanted the tan interior. He sorted it out. He got a manual, so it all worked out in the end. But it's a nice car. Rich is a nice guy. If you want to go and follow him, he is all the listeners can go and follow him. Instagram at Carreralicious. Carreralicious, Licious. So that's Owner Stories, number 56. What's next, Steve? I got suspension. Yeah. I got a new hat today. I actually completely forgot. I bought it one night in Bahrain. I was lying in bed with my iPad, and I was just looking through things, and I thought I got an email from Luft, and they had a hat for the Luft 7 hat, and it was a green one, baseball cap, and I thought, I like that, so I just bought it. Then I completely forgot about it, and then I remembered about it about just when we got to London, and then something had happened to the order. It hadn't even been sent. It's like been months. It's been so long. It's been such a long time since I ordered it, but it came today. It's a really cool hat. I reckon if anyone wants a good hat, the Luft 7 cap, I don't know if there's any left in stock, but it's, like I said, slow delivery, but a really cool cap. It's like green and green. So I'm happy with that. I like my baseball caps. They're cool.
Cool.
You know, when we go to recommendations, though, we talk about the recommendations. We've never mentioned Car Newell, have we?
Remember we did ages ago, like a podcast about like just referrals, like things that we kind of liked. I think I mentioned it then because that's a really good place to get stuff from.
Yeah, and it's a good place for seatbelts, isn't it? Because he does the seatbelts that you can get sent, I think, pretty much worldwide, can't you? He does all the coloured seatbelts because that's how you first introduced me to him. You said, go to him and look at the seatbelts. And then I know a lot of people...
I got both sets out of there.
You did?
For the GT3 and the 993, that's where I got my seatbelts from. I got a lot of stuff from Good guy.
So anyone in Australia that wants to buy the seatbelts from Car Newell, there's no issue getting them into the country. There's no explosive in them. There's no, you just get your dealer, your specialist to change them over, right? It's pretty easy to do, or you did it yourself?
Yeah. No, I didn't do it myself. I got Autohouse to kind of fit it. There wasn't any, I guess there is an explosive in there, but there wasn't anything sort of unusual about the way that it was packaged up or anything like that. I mean, like not in the same way as an airbag. Like it's quite hard to get an airbag kind of shipped, isn't it? But I don't think there was any issues with seatbelts. Why are you thinking about doing the seatbelt?
I don't know what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about lots of things.
Sorry, I cut you off before as well. You were about to mention stainless sills.
No, I've just been doing my usual Porsche pottering that I do on websites. You know what I mean? Because, apart from 2 days ago when I had nothing really much to do, now I've got so much to do. But I was pottering and just looking at things. So I was looking at the cover, the indoor car cover, which I probably should just wash the one I have, which I usually do. But it is starting to wear out. But they're great. The original Porsche covers like you have. Fantastic cover. Yep. Then I was thinking, I couldn't remember whether I needed to replace my front mats in my car, whether they were new enough, but I think they're actually okay, my mats, because I remember now I bought some special cleaner and cleaned them, and I think they're okay. There was something else I was looking at. Oh, the stainless steel sills. Yeah, the sills. So I was looking at the price between Design 911 and Suncoast. I can't remember now. I think they're pretty much the same, actually. It's just the problem with Suncoast is I think they're cheaper in Suncoast, but then when the delivery's hit on, and for all the Australian listeners, as you know, Steve, if you get it shipped into Australia, you could get hit with tax on the way in, goods and services tax. So I don't know whether it's a wise thing to do. And then I thought I could order them now and take them with me, but I'm really struggling at the moment for luggage, and I'm probably going to have to ship things, and I don't know whether I should be buying more things now. You know what I mean? Like I'm sort of trying to be sort of a little bit more sensible with things, especially with the car. I've organized the car to get fixed, as you know, and I think I mentioned it last week, but I've spoken to Pierre again briefly from Atlas, and he's already ordered the parts and everything, so that's already in motion. So that's all going to happen. And I think I said last week I'm not going to go through my insurance. I'm going to actually pay cash for it.
Yeah, right.
So I've decided not to do the insurance. I don't know if that's a wise decision or not, but I've decided to do it that way.
Just out of interest too, like from a process point of view, does he need the car to kind of actually
I'm not sure.
Going on the paint, like the color match and all that sort of stuff? Or
I'm not sure. I'm not really. I don't think that's going to be a big issue.
No.
Because I think
I'm just curious.
I'm not sure. I haven't actually asked him. I've just told him that it'll be an order house for those dates.
Yep.
And then he's I told him I wasn't going to go through the insurance, and he said fine, and then he's put the parts in order. I'm not sure if Pierre listens to all these episodes. I know he listens to some, but he's been really helpful, so thank you, Pierre.
Yeah, cool.
But I'm cool with it. I just want to get it done, so that'll be really good. Did you see, and I was going to mention something, but I'm not sure if I can mention it, but did you see Jensen Button's turbo X88 that's sold on Collecting Cars?
Yeah.
Ex-Sultan of Brunei's car.
Yeah, what color was it?
That silvery blue color, wasn't it? It's like a blue or silver. It sold for something. Yeah. It sold for a crazy amount of money. Was it £400,000 or something? Like they're really. Right. I know they're super rare. They're super rare, but it sold for a lot of money.
Yeah, well, everything is, but I don't really follow the sold prices and kind of collecting cars. Like I've noticed, there's been, that they're really good with their marketing, and you often see what's kind of on the lot as such. But yeah, I don't know. Just with the kind of whole value thing, as you know, like I'm a bit sort of tired of that part of the kind of conversation, so I don't really kind of try to track exactly, what they kind of sell for, but I'm assuming everything's crazy.
Yeah, but that's a rarity thing though, because these are the top, the top collector cars, aren't they? They're not just like, my 997 Carrera going up by 30 grand or, boring stuff. It's like these are the super rare ones. And I know that, I have been sent information about it, the rarity of these cars, you know what I mean? And how they were Sultan of Brunei, or some of them went to the Emir of Qatar, bought that X88. And, these cars only went to went to royalty, they went to special people. There wasn't a lot around. So I guess that sort of thing. And Jensen Button's car was the Sultan of Brunei's car.
Yep.
So I guess those sort of cars are interesting because I don't know whether it's a better story, but they kind of have more of a story, don't they? They're more, they are very rare, Steve. Very, very rare.
Yeah, I know. And I know like there's stuff that came up, who's the drug lord? Was it Escobar?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
There was a 911 that kind of came up that was his and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I know that there's sort of like, I think it's kind of overstating it to say that there's kind of like historical value to it, but I know that there are cars that are more rare and have a little bit of a story behind it, but
I don't know. I can't keep up with the value thing. It's crazy. Look at even 991s and stuff. I can't keep up with it. Who knows? 991 Carrera T's seem to be like, becoming like very collectible. I don't know what's going on. It's very weird. It's a great car, but I noticed that there was one at Autohouse, a silver one, and it was a really good one. 911 Carrera T, silver, GT silver, manual, no tinting on the windows, so it still had the lightweight glass. If you get the tinting, the lightweight glass is removed. No sunroof, very important. No rear seats, I think. Still had that awful black shiny trim. They didn't option that with leather, but you can change that over later.
Yep.
And it had just the seats with not any funny colors, yellow or red. It just had the plain silver.
Yep.
I saw it. I got the notification, or it came up, and literally it was gone in 2 days. It was just gone like that.
Yeah.
And they've had a few through Autohouse. They move really quickly, the Carrera T's, and it wasn't low price. It was $240,000, I think, $240,000. Just quite a lot.
I have no idea what the kind of going rate would be on something like that. But yeah, I guess it makes sense that like anything that's like a reasonable kind of example of any 911, like the 997 GT3, the white one that we were sort of chatting about has already gone. That was in Melbourne. And I, sort of makes a little bit of a mockery of that kind of silver one that's over 300 kind of thing. I just sort of think that, if it's a good example and it's priced right, then in this kind of current market, like, if you're in the market, you need to kind of move pretty quickly sort of thing. I don't think you can sort of deliberate too long.
Yeah, and that's the thing we always say, right? You have to be ready. You always say to me, you have to be ready. You have to have the cash in your pocket. You have to be ready. And it used to be that way 2 years ago. But today, it's like you have to be ready like today. If you see it today and you want it, you need to buy it today, right, Steve? Because tomorrow, the chances are it's going to be gone. But then you have no negotiation anymore. You have no room for negotiation. It's just like, do you want it or you don't want it?
Yeah, I think you do have negotiation rights. Like, I won't get into the detail of it, but like Marco, I know, for example, he didn't pay like the absolute asking price, and like that, Speed Yellow 996 Turbo is a pretty rare, and it was a very good example and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like you still have the ability to kind of get, like to talk the talk and stuff like that. I think I think part of it is like, yeah, like if you're in the market, you've got to be ready. You've got to have your kind of finances sorted and all that sort of stuff. But I actually, in a strange sort of way, I think it's also like just kind of like psychologically. Like I think there's a lot of people that kind of go, yeah, I really like that kind of thing. And then when you're really faced with it and you kind of come to the crunch and you kind of go, oh, my dream car is a 997 GT3. And then like things kind of pop up, you kind of do a bit of tire kicking. But like when it really comes to crunch time of whether you're going to put an offer in, but then you start to kind of doubt, sort of mess around a little bit because you're not quite certain if you want to spend the money or, you know, if the missus is going to let you do it or whatever it is. I think that's when you're in trouble because that's where you will literally kind of miss out if you kind of start kind of mucking around like that.
Yeah.
I think you just sort of need to be decisive at that point in time and just kind of go, no, like this is kind of what you want to do. You know that it's, you know, the correct example of the car. It's not going to be exactly what you want, but you're willing to kind of not live with, you know, the color or whatever it is that you kind of wanted. And then you just kind of, then you have to kind of just be decisive and do it.
Okay. Is this, you know, like, I'm going to jump forward a little bit because I wanted to talk about the GT3s on car sales because I want to talk about a 996 that's on there as well.
Yeah, sure.
But like this buying frenzy, right? This hypermarket, this Porsche hypermarket almost as you call it, right? Or classic. It's a classic hypermarket, but Porsche's caught up in it. You know, it's spurred on by COVID, right? It's spurred on by is it spurred on by COVID?
Yeah.
Or is it spurred on by COVID? But the thing is though, is it spurred on by COVID or is it just this cycle that everything goes through an up and down cycle, right? Things are always going to, you know, at certain times things are going to be worth more and then they're going to be worth less for a bit, they're going to be worth more. You know, they balance out, right? Maybe
to a degree, but it's never been this crazy, has it?
But it hasn't, has it? You know what I mean? Unless you know, like I said to you, you know, suggested titles for this podcast, and I don't know what we're going to call it, but you know, this midlife crisis thing, things with Porsche. You know, is it COVID related, or are all of us having a midlife crisis at the same time? And this is what's causing this classic market.
It's trying to work out.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean? Like, is it because we're in COVID and because we're in lockdown, we're all looking back at, you know, things that, you know, like Rich's poster on the wall of the naked lady.
Yes.
You know, people with their Lamborghinis. We're not even just talking Porsche here. We're talking, but let's just say it's Porsche, right? But, you know, the posters on the wall, or that memory as a kid seeing, you know, the 911 Carrera at the ski slopes with the skis on the back with the old skis and thinking, man, one day I want one of those. And then you get to a point in your life, and maybe you are midlife, maybe we are over 39, right? Because we're, you know, most of us are over 39. And you know what I mean, Steve? And it's like, is it because COVID just gives you more time to think? It's not really COVID, right? You have more time to think. You have more time in your hands. I don't know how people have so much money. I'm still a little bit confused by where all this money's coming from.
Yeah.
But, you know, Porsche always gets a bit of the rap, you know. It always gets a bit of the rap. And I read an article earlier today, and this is what made me think about it. It said that there was an article in some newspaper, and I can't remember what it was called, actually, some article. And it said, Porsche is Britain's midlife car. That was the title of the article. And when I read that, I thought, what a stupid title for an article, right? Mm-hmm. You know, and it said, you know, that I think that actually said the average Porsche owner is 40, with Cayenne, Boxsters, and 911s belonging to the most popular model. They're the models that people buy as a midlife crisis. Now, I don't know where they get their data from. But, you know, like
I don't reckon you'd be able to capture that sort of data. Like, if you're talking about new cars, Porsche would kind of have that data, but like they'll never be able to kind of, well, maybe through insurance companies they could. I was going to say like capture the kind of age of people in the kind of used Porsche market. That would be much, much harder to kind of get a hold of.
Yeah, but the thing I read that I thought was pretty true, right? It says that you know, what this guy, I don't know what article this was, so I can't quote the source, but he said, you know, I've found that addressing a midlife crisis with a sports car is really about the pure satisfaction of having one. I never once opened the garage door to gaze at our SUV the way I have with the Porsche, right? Even if I don't want to do, you know, rear-ending sliding burnouts, at least I know I could if I wanted to. And if I did, I'm sort of ad-libbing here, but if I did, they'd look a lot cooler in a Porsche. Is that how people see it? Because, you know, like everyone says Porsche is a midlife crisis, red cars, you're going through a midlife crisis, you know. And this is always...
I don't know if I agree with that.
And at the moment, it's because of COVID. People are saying it's COVID. But is it COVID or is it just, I don't know. I don't know where. I don't know.
I don't think this is particularly kind of insightful sort of thing, but clearly it's because we've all been in lockdown, and everybody knows that because you can't travel, you can't eat out, you can't pretty much kind of go shopping on a whim and just walk into the shops. So that's where some of the money has kind of come from. I was really surprised, like last year I bought a desk for my wife. And the guys are sort of saying like furniture sales have gone crazy, and that wasn't like office furniture. It was because, people with kind of money couldn't kind of, go to Aspen sort of thing. So they were spending money on decking out their houses kind of thing, and this all makes kind of complete rational sense. So that's where you kind of go, yeah, okay. So that's where some of the money is kind of coming from, because people are trapped at home. So they've kind of got, money to burn. Then you're kind of spending more time online, sort of, looking at kind of pretty things and, nice kind of luxury goods or whatever else. I would kind of hazard a guess that, I think we all kind of have some fairly kind of horrible stories of people that we know that have been affected really badly by kind of COVID. And I reckon that's made people think about their mortality as well.
Yeah.
So then you kind of get to that sort of notion of, hey, life's too short to be kind of messing around, putting all my money in my superannuation or whatever else. I may as well kind of, do some things with some money that I might have and enjoy life a little bit more, because, 4 months in lockdown or losing loved ones, or, hearing about loved ones losing their loved ones kind of thing makes you think twice about the kind of the whole life that you're kind of in, and it's better to kind of enjoy it while you can. I reckon that all makes complete sense, but I reckon this applies to everything, though. I don't think, like, for sure, Porsche as a brand and like their products and everything, you could definitely kind of go, that's sort of why there's a bit of a spike in interest and all that sort of thing. But it's kind of all cars, like anything that's got sort of any sort of sentimental value, like old MX-5s and, like the early, 80s and 90s Japanese cars and everything, like everything's kind of gone mental. So,
but I think you're right. I think the mortality thing with COVID is the reason why cars are going up, right? People are buying cars because of the mortality thing, and I don't want to waste my money. I don't want to waste my life. And I guess it's just because I saw this midlife crisis article, and then I did a search, and it's amazing how many articles are about midlife crisis with cars, and all of them mention Porsche. You know what I mean? All of them mention Porsche. And it's like, we kind of know, for us, it's not like that, right? We still, maybe we're too deep into it and we don't notice, but for us, it's not like that. And I think the difference, and I think you just pinpointed it actually, COVID is about mortality, it's about death. Midlife crisis or buying a Porsche is not, and if you want to make that point that it is because of a midlife crisis, it's about, I guess that's more about reliving your youth, reliving the past, right? Or reliving something that you remember from your childhood, or something you couldn't have in your childhood that you could have now, which is not really a midlife crisis. It's just that we all get to a point in our life, and Owner Stories pinpoints this perfectly, you know what I mean? Is that priorities, certain things happen, life happens, you can't have the car that you wanted. You wanted it in your 20s, you wanted it in your 30s, and in your 40s or your 50s, you can get the Porsche, right? So it's not like you just decided when you turned 40 or 45 or 50, okay, I want a Porsche now. It's like, well, I kind of wanted one, but I never thought I could get one, and now I can. It's like, okay, let me get one, But this thing that these articles always make out, Steve, that that if you succumb to your midlife crisis and you buy a Porsche, it's going to somehow change your life, and you're going to be have all these girls chasing after you and people like admiring you on the corners, which is not the case, right? And this gets me on to the other point. The whole point of a Porsche and wanting a Porsche and buying a Porsche, and let's just talk about sports cars in general, but for us it's Porsches, right? And everyone that listens to the podcast, it kind of is that thing that I just read in that article that, like I've said and you've said, you go out, you see your car in your car park or your garage in your house, and you look at it and it makes you feel good. Do you know what I mean? And, and it is that fact that if that was just like a shitbox car, it doesn't give you that feeling. And also it's about that feeling, and I mentioned to you just before, about driving nowhere. Do you know what I mean? Porsche is about And it kind of is like that, right? Like when I spoke to Rich, I think it was Rich actually, your wife doesn't understand. You're just going to go for a drive. Where are you going? I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going for a drive. And that's what's great. That's what's great about owning a Porsche. You know what I mean? And I don't know. You know what I'm getting at? It's not a midlife crisis. It's just like that. It's enjoyment, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I was just going to say, like, I kind of feel like that mentality is not exclusive to Porsches. It's just kind of car enthusiasts, really.
Yes.
Like, your car might be a shitbox. Like, like it might be sort of like a lowly, Mark IV Golf GTI. But if you
that's
kind
not
of,
a shitbox, though.
No, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't need to be a Porsche for you to kind of have the feelings that you're kind of referring to and stuff like that. It's relative to your own kind of circumstance or whatever else. And I don't know, like, if you could kind of get the data, I wonder if it'd be interesting to kind of go like in this whole kind of weird craze that's going on at the moment. How many people who are not interested in cars have just gone out and gone,
yes,
oh, fuck it, like, life's too short, I'm going to go and get like a sports car for the sake of getting a sports car? Or is it more the fact that, somebody who's kind of been into cars but never just kind of taken the plunge because they've been sensible or, whatever the term is, have then just kind of gone, oh, fuck it, like, rather than kind of getting like a 3 Series BMW or whatever else, I'm just going to kind of keep going past that and I'm going to go and get, like a Boxster or a 911 or something like that. So it's kind of like the inherent kind of car enthusiasm has always been there. But like, I think in reality, like everybody would kind of want to have a 911 or a sports car or whatever. It's just that a lot of us don't do it because it's not, like it's money. Like it's not economically kind of feasible to kind of go and trash like, like a shitload of money on a sports car kind of thing. But because of this kind of mentality of thinking about your mortality or, whatever else, or just kind of trying to find enjoyment out of stuff, that you overcome that kind of barrier in your brain and you just kind of go, nah, you know what, it's actually kind of worth it and let's kind of go and do it. It's just bizarre that the ironic part of that is that, like, if everybody's kind of gone and done it at the same time, then the price of entry has kind of escalated so severely. I find that bit, I've said it that many times in previous podcasts, I find that really sad kind of thing that, that trying to get into a Porsche these days is so difficult. Like I think of myself as so lucky, like, 20 something years ago, kind of managed to kind of get into it, but it was nowhere near as hard. Like if I was in the same circumstance right now, I couldn't afford to do it. There's no way I could afford to do it. And, I kind of go, I'd be that kind of classic market of like enthusiastic kind of car person that, would skew some of my money towards like kind of cars sort of thing. But that wouldn't hold in today's kind of age. Like if I didn't have one right now, I couldn't afford to kind of get into it. No chance.
Yeah. No, it's much, much, much harder. I mean, it's pretty sad really, but it is much, much harder.
It's become sort of more like the sphere of not just the enthusiast, but you have to be the enthusiast plus like relatively affluent. Whereas I kind of feel like, 20 years ago, you might just get away with it if you were just enthusiastic. You might not necessarily have to be that affluent.
Yeah, and we want everyone to experience it, right? You want everyone, because you have one, you have a 911, and I hear the enthusiasm when I speak to people on owner stories who have bought a Boxster or bought a 911 in the first drive, and you can hear it in all of our voices. You know what I mean? It's that memory, Steve, and not everyone can experience that, and I guess that is life. And I guess we're a little bit, listening to people like Spike's Car Radio and listening to their stories with their Porsches, a little bit like, a different world because, most of us won't be at that stage to enjoy those sort of cars. I guess it's good to hear the stories about it, but, and like you said, just having like when you bought your 964, sure, it was a long time ago, but the price of getting into that 964 was reasonable. You know what I mean? Even based on the price of new Porsches at the time. Yeah.
In my circumstances, I had to kind of stretch enormously hard, but like I did it and it was feasible.
Yeah.
But like if I had to kind of do the same exercise now, it doesn't matter how hard I'm stretching. No. It's like, no, I can't reach it.
No, at 200,000 for a 964, it's like 200,000 Aussie. It's like, no, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's interesting that the question you asked me about GT3s, and we always like to talk about GT3s because Steve has his 997.1 GT3. Yeah. No, I do as well. You know, look, I'll be honest, and I might have said this to you. The one I'm lusting after, and I really am lusting after it, is that one in Melbourne, in the crayon chalk, the color that I really like, the 991.2 GT3 manual. It has the bucket seats, which are the folding ones, not the full ones like yours. So you can, they've got the tilt. But I quite like that idea, how you can get into the back and put things behind the back seat. It's 375,000 Australian dollars. It still hasn't sold. I don't know why. Maybe the price. I think it's at Porsche Brighton or Porsche Melbourne. It's at a Porsche dealer.
Oh, it's at a dealership too.
Yeah, it's at it. Yep. I think. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe he's taken the photos at a dealer. No, I think it's at a dealership. Oh, right. I look at that car and I think, I really, really like it because I really do love that color. Because the two colors I like out of the 991s, and I've said this before, is crayon and chalk and graphite blue, which they discontinued on the .1s, which wasn't in, I don't think there's many GT3s, but there's a Carrera S that I always see, and I saw it only 2 days ago in Mayfair here in London. It's always parked. It must be someone that works owns a cafe there or something. And I saw it again. And I just love that color. I just love the color. I love the graphite blue and I love the crayon. But that GT3, Steve, was be ideal. But you asked the question to me. You said,
do it, mate.
Yeah, for 375 plus on roads. You asked me, plus stamp duty, you asked me the question about, the prices, and the prices of 991.1 GT3s are quite cheap, and they're cheaper than 996s and 997s, obviously because of the engine issue, and most of them only have that engine warranty till 2024. So it's only another 3 years, and it's on one of the ads, actually, the guy says engine warranty to 2024, but that's only 3 years away, so what happens then? You know what I mean? And you asked me the question, when I look at that, ages ago, I thought it would be a good idea just to get, there's the E, F, and G engines. The G engine is the last of it, the 2016, and I thought maybe that one's okay. But I've read on forums there's still issues with that engine. I would probably not do it. I don't think I would do it. I think I'd avoid it. I think I'd, try to push it to a 991.2 GT3. But it's interesting what you pointed out, though, because there is a 991 GT3 on there for, I think, 225 or something with higher kilometers.
And there's another one that's about, I can't remember off the top of my head, I think it was about 265. And then when you kind of compare that to like a 996 GT3 or even a 997.1, they're more expensive. So like all of a sudden, like a couple of 991.1s are actually kind of cheaper than that. It's like, whoa. That's a lot of car for that money.
Well, if you get
a lot of car.
There's a red PDK 991.2 though. Did you see the price of that? They're like about 320, so they're quite a lot cheaper. I think there's a Guards red one on there at the moment. There's actually a lava orange one for sale as well. 991.2 GT3, but it's PDK. I'd still rather have the manual in the .2.
Yep.
Did you notice also, James, our friend James at Porsche Platz, who's been on previous owner stories, James from Melbourne,
the silver one.
RSR Classics. Yeah, he's got the silver one, the 996.1 GT3. Great photo, by the way, James. It looks really, really cool. Yep. Your imagery, it actually stands out on car sales with the mustardy yellow background, isn't it?
Yeah, I've seen it on Instagram. He's been posting on Instagram. What's the asking price on it?
I forget. Is it 270 something? I forget. I should know. I should have written it down.
Yeah, right. Wow.
I think so. I mean, 996.1 looks in pretty good nick, though. It looks in good condition. I'm sure it won't last very long. I think there's another one. There's a 996.2 for sale as well at the same time. There's a silver one. I think there's two silver 996s for sale at the moment. They won't last very long. That one's
been sitting there for a while. No, they've all been sitting there for a bit. But, and look, at the end of the day, first world problem, like any GT3 is going to be good. So I don't think the answer to that kind of question is that even if you did get into a 991.1, I reckon you'd be doing the 991.1 because it's almost going to be the cheapest out of the lot.
Yeah.
Like if you were kind of GT3 shopping.
But if you're going to go
how would you kind of feel if you did it? It's like, I think you'd feel kind of pretty good because it's like, like it would be an amazing car for, I still think like, yes, I don't know, for a fact, and you'd have to kind of start talking to, somebody like Granted Auto House or whatever else to kind of see if like everything that you read on the forums is actually kind of true or not. And, like what's the likelihood of the engine kind of falling to bits on you. But like at the end of the day, I think you'd still be a pretty happy camper if you were driving around in a GT3 of any sort.
Yeah. I'd still like that 991.2 though. That I know you're not a big fan of crayon chalk, but I really, really think it looks cool.
No, I like it. I like the color. I just suspect that it might be one of those sort of fashionable colors that in, like 5 years' time, it might kind of date a little bit.
I'm sure you saw it because you sent it to me and I watched it the other night. TGE on YouTube, TGE TV. I'm sure a lot of you guys have watched his channel. He's been doing a bit of a Porsche collection at the moment. I mean, for a while actually. Yeah, he's got his Carrera GT. He's got a 912. He's got a Carrera 4S 996. He's got what else does he have? That's it, right?
He's got that 80s Targa, the black 80s.
Oh, the black 80s Targa. Yeah, and now he's just bought himself the Pinnacle, the one that we all would like. I'm not a big fan of the color combo though. I have to say I like it when they're a bit louder. But he's bought the 997.2 GT3 RS for those of you who haven't seen it. White with Weiss or Weiss, Steve?
I don't know. Ask a German person. Nice.
Weiss gold wheels. And he just added that in. Yeah, and decals. I don't know. I really do like the loud, crazy colors in those cars. The grey with the red wheels. That one is my favorite. I've said it before.
Like Pierre's. Yeah,
and Pierre's got the black with the red, hasn't he? Is this grey or black? Yeah.
Black, isn't it?
Yeah, I like those sort of colors. I mean, I wouldn't say no to TGEs, of course. I mean, it's a beautiful car. And obviously he said it's really low mileage and he just put that JCR exhaust on it, which sounded pretty amazing in that second video. Did you watch the second one as well?
Yeah,
I mean, that must have cost a mint, that exhaust. I'm sure it's not cheap.
I remember when they first came out, when JCR as a company kind of first came out.
Where are they from, JCR?
UK.
Oh, they are UK.
I can't remember the guy, Johnny someone or other, the J and the C, I think. He's a ex-racer kind of thing. He's been on one of the other kind of podcasts and they interviewed him.
Right.
So he's he's a racer of some sort, and then kind of saw a kind of gap in the market, blah blah blah. Used his kind of motorsport contacts to start engineering exhausts. When the company first came out, I remember it sort of being on Renlist. His bag was that a lot of it was titanium, and I think at that point, if you really wanted a titanium exhaust, you really were in Akrapovic territory. But his exhausts weren't that expensive then, but now, bloody hell, they're there's a massive premium on kind of getting into a proper kind of titanium sort of thing.
I thought, Steve, though, that the exhaust on the 997.2 GT3 RS would be enough. Because it already is partly titanium, right? It was already.
It is titanium.
It is titanium, right?
It is titanium. Yeah.
So I'm wondering why. I mean, I can't remember the before and after.
I can answer that.
Yeah.
It's because the standard exhaust still has to adhere to I think is it the Swiss that's the most archaic, the most conservative noise pollution, whatever regulations in the world. So they kind of have to dumb the exhaust down to whatever that is, because there's only kind of one exhaust for the whole world sort of thing.
Right.
So even though it's still made out of titanium, which is lighter, and I think somebody said that it actually is built by Akrapovic. But, but it's quieter because it still has to kind of adhere to global standards. Whereas if you kind of go and get like a JCR or a Klein or a Dundon exhaust or whatever, they're kind of ignoring kind of sound regulation sort of thing.
Yeah. All right. Before we go, I just want to talk about the engine mounts, because I just tried to, and I apologize to the person that I speak to on Instagram. I really am sorry this week. My brain is fading. I think it was a couple of days ago who sent me the thing saying he just got the RSS are they? Engine mounts? RSS engine mounts.
Yep.
And said they were really good. What do you think about those, Steve?
What sort of car? Was it a 996 or 997?
Sorry, mate. I can't remember. I can't find the message at the moment because I've got a ton of messages through 3 Instagram accounts, so I can't find it.
You're right.
But the RSS, you know what I mean? Like you said to me, and I think what you said to me, I just want you to tell the listeners what you said to me the other day when we were talking about it, and you sent me the message. And I thought it was quite insightful. I thought it was quite insightful.
You sent me a text saying, "Have you heard of this before?"
Yes.
Yeah. And it was a link to the RSS engine mounts for 997. And I think my reply was along the lines of, yes, I've heard of RSS and they're a reputable kind of company. Like I know they make lots of kind of suspension bits. And so RSS and I think Wevo engine, like aftermarket engine mounts, are the two that you kind of hear pop up a lot on kind of forums, and people kind of, rate them.
Yeah.
I believe that they're kind of cheaper too than like if you were going to replace your factory kind of mounts.
Yep.
So there's another kind of plus for it. I think Wevo make two kind of different types in terms of stiffnesses and stuff like that. But I think the bit that you're probably kind of talking about was, I have a feeling that engine mounts are very...
Yeah, what you said. What you said was, you said it's like suspension. One man's stiff is another man's feelsome and direct, right? And I thought that was really, you forget about this stuff. And the other thing you said, and you can explain this further, but having said, your car is probably still fairly soft, so a little bit of noise and vibration isn't going to kill it, but it's all subjective. And I thought that was really important, right? To when you do mods on your car. Your car is already hardcore. You know what I mean? My car is soft. So that little bit of extra noise or whatever could be a really good thing, correct?
Yeah. So so come particularly to your car, and I can only sort of, try to gauge and second guess, like you're a close mate. I think I know roughly your kind of taste in cars and stuff like that, and your tolerance, because there's always going to be a compromise. Like if you replaced it with these RSS or put Wevo engine mounts in, my guess is that it's not going to kind of annoy you, and you will get like the benefit of what feels like a tighter kind of drive, a more direct kind of response when you kind of step on it and stuff like that.
Right.
And it will be at the expense of, you probably get more vibration and like more kind of noise kind of coming through the cabin and stuff like that. Do I think that you would like it? So it's going to be similar to like, when you were talking about short shift kind of thing for your car. The upside is that it feels kind of more direct and all that sort of stuff. The downside is that it could sort of be a little bit more vibratey through the gear knob, and it could sort of feel a little bit, not as refined is probably the best word. Is that a good kind of compromise and play off for you? I reckon it is. But that only obviously that's the answer can only be sort of that's for you to kind of decide. And I guess the only way you're really going to be able to figure it out is to either do it and see, or try to track somebody down that's got it and see what you think.
See, I always base it on what you told me, how you said when you asked Grant about it, and he said to stick to the stock engine mounts. That's why I was just going to go stock, right? And I think in my head,
I'll explain that.
In my head, though, I probably still am going to go stock. I want to get onto the short shifter as well, so remind me of that when you finish this thought.
It's just that, so like in the 993, my engine mounts were kind of sagging and kind of, needed replacing.
Yep.
I remember asking Grant at the time. So this is on my 993, and this is a worked 993. It had like coilovers and, short shift kit and all of that sort of stuff. And I just sort of said to Grant, hey, you've said that it needs to kind of be replaced. What do you reckon? Should we kind of stick Wevos or whatever in it? And he sort of said, I don't think they're for you. I think, if I was you, I'd sort of stick with the kind of factory ones. So I just listened to him because, again, I trusted his judgment, and I sort of felt like he knew roughly where I was at, like with my taste in how I wanted my car to be. I can't remember if the same things kind of happened with the GT3. I think maybe I'm getting it mixed up. I don't think my engine mounts have needed replacement, or maybe they have. I can't remember.
Really?
So, but if pretend like Autohouse have my car at the moment. Pretend they kind of ring me, today and sort of say, "Hey,
pretend they still have it."
Replacing. Yeah, it hasn't been driven off a cliff. Yeah, like if they sort of said, "Hey, your engine mounts need replacing," blah blah blah. What do you want to do? I think I'd pretty much stick with standard, because I don't think I need any extra. I don't think I need more directness in that car.
Yeah. All right, so that's engine.
My car's stiffer and harder than yours at the moment.
And I've had a few people reach out to me. Craig in Sydney, P997.1. Craig, hi Craig. He said he just had his mounts. He had his engine mounts replaced when he was when he first got his car. I think he told me, and I hope Craig, you don't mind me saying this. I think he said there are about 800 fitted in Australia for the engine mounts.
What did he do? He did standard.
It's just standard OEM. Yeah, OEM.
Okay.
And then I had. Yep. I'm just going to mention another message before we go because we're at the end of the podcast. It's already an hour. But Simon, who's been on Owner Stories before from Adelaide, who has the Cup car and the GT3, Porsche Nut 9 on Instagram. Give Simon a follow. Simon sent me this message, and I'm sure, Simon, you don't mind me reading this out. And he sent me a link for the Function First solution. And he said, not sure if you've seen these. I've run this in my Cup car, which already has an upgraded metal bushing, and also the GT3, and it's amazing. The Racer Guys rated over numeric because it retains OEM quality, but much smoother and more precise. Quite fun and simple to fit. Like I said, Simon, I hope you don't.
You're talking short
shifts,
this not engine mounts now.
Yeah, we're talking short shift. We're back to function first. So I'm talking about another thing that everyone thinks about it, and he sent me some images of it. Didn't you say that you knew who was doing the function first? Was that your mate with the GT3, or was that Marco that was thinking about that?
No. Marco was looking at a function first gear knob, not short shift kit. And I've read about the function first short shift thing. It takes the original kind of factory. I don't know how do you.
It fits into your short shift kit.
Like you're replacing some of the rubber or plastic kind of bits in your actual kind of existing bit, whereas like my numeric, for example, you're just ripping the whole thing out and you're replacing it with like a, sort of fully metal fabricated kind of thing. So I have read about that before. Like that function first thing came out after I had done my numeric thing. At the time I did my short shift kit, I had the choice of numeric or CAE, which is a UK kind of thing. They were the only two options. Since then, there's been some other kind of stuff that kind of came to market.
Yeah, I mean, Simon sent me that. I just wanted to mention it. It looks quite interesting, the function first. I mean, it's not that expensive, and you can just, like I said, replace those parts on your short shifter, your OEM short shifter.
Bushings and stuff.
Yeah, it's metal bushings. It comes in a set. If you go to function first, they've got a picture of what you get, the parts you get.
For example, if you weren't satisfied with yours, like the factory kind of short shift kit upgrade, I think it sounds like the function first would be like a step up from where you're at.
Yeah, I think so.
Like it would make it even kind of tighter and slicker.
My problem, mate, is I can't even remember really how it feels. I have a vague memory. I really do need to.
I can actually remember how your car feels.
Honestly, the numeric, it was only fitted just before I left Sydney.
Yeah.
It was only fitted that December. It was fitted that year. I only had it for a couple of months, and then it was like I was gone. So I haven't really.
And there was a point too. I remember, because you were kind of busy with work and you were trying to kind of get ready, and I kept sort of saying, "Are you driving much?" And I have a feeling that you weren't driving as much as you would have liked to as well. Like you were kind of buried with work stuff, so you didn't really get to kind of enjoy it properly.
No, that's funny, and I'll just say that before we go. You said that to me. You said, "Mate, just get out and drive before you leave. You're leaving in a week." And I went, "Yeah, but I've got work to do and rushing around." And that was the beginning of 2020, and then that was it. Not back since then.
I'll be honest, like I'm a little bit fearful for you, because like I know that your new kind of life and routine is to kind of jet between, Sydney and London and Bahrain and all that sort of stuff.
Still doing that though. Doing that.
Yeah. It's just more that whenever you kind of say to me, "Hey, I'm coming back to Sydney and I'll be here for a couple of months," kind of thing, inevitably your couple of months winds up being 1 month, and your time here kind of gets cut short because you have to kind of jet back to kind of get back onto some sort of job. So my tip for you is to
this time's longer.
Drive as much as you can, which is why I kept then sort of saying to you, "Oh, mate, like, get Pierre and Autohouse to work at the same time and this and that and everything else," because just get as much time, driving and enjoying the thing as you can, just in case you're not here as long as you kind of think that you'll be.
Yeah.
Have you figured out what you're going to do, actually? Do you know, have you got any definite sort of plans in terms of what you want to do when you're back here?
What do you mean?
Oh, it just drives. Like, are you literally going to go and pack up and drive down to Melbourne or Adelaide or whatever?
Yeah, yeah.
Or?
I am going to do that. I got to get my roof box first, though.
Mm-hmm. I saw what was it? A red Honda Accord with works wheels and a roof box this morning, and tire stickers as I was walking Walter, my dog. And I thought, yeah, Michael should get some tire stickers to go with his roof box.
What I really want to see is a roof box on the GT3. That's what I really want to see.
It's not going to happen.
You know, the other thing I was looking at, and I know it's a bit of a trend, but I have actually been looking at it for a while. I've been looking at, the
spotlights.
Maybe I should get a Cayenne and make it Overlander. Do a full Overland Cayenne.
What are you going to do with that?
I don't know.
Where are you going to overland?
Could always go back to the Range Rover as a second car so Natasha can learn in a Range Rover. I saw a really good Range Rover V8 autobiography for only 40,000 Australian.
Yeah, right. New one looks kind of pretty cool in terms of just pure aesthetics.
Did I tell you the story in Bahrain? There's an old Range Rover there. I think it's a 2004 model. And when we were back there, when we first got back, it's in the garage, and all of the side of the car was completely on the wheel. The suspension or something, it obviously had failed. Right. And I looked at it and I thought, that's why you don't buy a Range Rover.
That'll be expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
They're very popular. There's somebody downstairs in this apartment building bought a Defender, and then there's another one around the corner. So, like, Defenders are all the rage.
I have to say, and I don't know if PJ still listens to the podcast, but PJ, who's been on Owner Stories in the UK, I noticed on his Instagram he just bought a Defender. He just got his Defender, and he had a thing where I think he was going through water. When I was in London last time, I saw one just near Greenwich here. I think I might have told you it was a black one, and I have to say the short.
Are you talking new one or?
Yeah, the new Defender 3-door. The 2-door one, the 3 whatever that one is, in black. It was all blacked out. Even though I like the white wheel ones, there was a completely blacked out one. And I tell you what, it's pretty nice. Like for a fun little zip around car in the city. They're not super cheap, of course, but they're pretty nice looking.
Don't know about zip around. They're still pretty big. That's exactly what the spec of the car downstairs is, like 3-door and black wheels, all that sort of stuff.
What do you think?
I'm not an SUV person. I still maintain that I just they don't kind of get me going in any way whatsoever. Even that new Cayenne, what's it called? The GT?
Yeah. I don't...
Even like something like that, it's just like I just can't kind of get excited about it. So I think you're talking to the wrong person.
Yeah.
But like aesthetically, like, the Defender and the new Range Rover that they kind of just announced and seen lots of pictures of. It's like, they look kind of cool, but...
And they'll sell a lot. They'll sell a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah. Hey, just before we go, have you started the paint correction on the Macan yet?
No, I haven't. I've got to go see my uncle. He needs a hand with something on his... he's got a mini GP, not the latest one, the one before, that needs some new decals, and I've got to go and trace it to kind of help him get some new ones made up. But when I go and see him, I'm going to go and borrow his bigger Ruper's polisher, because if I can work with a 6 or 7 inch pad, then it'll be a lot easier.
Yeah, it sounds good. Hey, just before we go, Bernard, who's been on Owner Stories before, Ibiza 911, who's got his white Carrera 4 GTS. On his Instagram, I don't know whether you noticed it, Steve, he had...
No, don't follow him.
Bernard's a bit lazy. He's not like you. He didn't do it himself. But he had one done, and I was going to ask you if you heard of this. He had it done by graphene coating. He had a graphene coating done.
It's same. Well, it's the latest thing in ceramic or coating kind of thing, like as opposed to ceramic SiO2. What's that? Silicon dioxide, whatever. Graphene is like another thing, and you can get titanium coatings and diamond coatings and all of these bloody kind of different technologies.
But is ceramic coating better than graphene coating, or they're both the same?
That's a massive debate on YouTube where people are kind of going... Yeah, I think like people are kind of saying like, look, it's all similar-ish type of thing. Graphene there's a lot of skepticism about graphene sort of being like a bit of a marketing kind of thing. I don't really know. I have no idea. Actually, I should tell you too. My because I had to drive out to drop my car off to Autohouse on Tuesday morning.
Yeah,
and it was supposed to be a nice sunny day. I drove out, and then all of a sudden, it's like massive kind of rain shower.
Nice.
I said that I'd kind of come back to you and let you know, but the ceramic coating, like you could see all the water beating off the car as you're kind of driving along. So the actual paintwork itself, but B, more to the point, the windscreen coating is good. That's my yeah, like the water it's very hydrophobic, so that same thing, it kind of beads and stuff like that. But I had a fear that like after kind of cleaning the hell out of the windscreen and then coating it, that the wipers would grab, you know, that horrible kind of shuddering thing.
Yes, mine do that all the time, actually.
But when you do the coating, it tells you to kind of coat the windscreen rubbers as well, which I did, and it's good. Like if anybody's thinking of doing it, like it's worth doing.
Guion, right?
Yeah, I used the Guion kit, but there's a couple of other brands that are supposed to be pretty good too. So
it's funny what you just said about the graphene ceramic thing. You know, there's heaps of things on YouTube. Don't you find that like when you get something in your mind, like, you know, we all get thoughts in our mind and we think, okay, I want to search that. And then there's always a part of me that goes, do I really want to go down that rabbit hole today? Because when you start going down the rabbit hole, like we all do, right? Do you really want to go down the rabbit hole and find out that bit about your car or whatever? Because once you start going in, hours pass, don't they, Steve? Days pass, and you're still reading it. It's like,
it's a bit of a rant, but I just sort of find too that like once you kind of get onto a topic, you know, whether it's something serious like, you know, vaccines and COVID and treatment for COVID, or, you know, is graphene like a legitimate kind of thing? I just kind of go, there's so much information out there. Like, what do you believe?
Yeah.
Like, how do you know like what sort of somebody says? Because like in the days of social media, like what's credible and what's not? Like you just got absolutely no idea of like, you know, whether somebody's kind of paid to say it, whether or not they're a complete numpty and they'd have no idea whether or not something was good. Like,
true.
No idea.
True.
Like, it's no different from us. Like, here I am sort of saying, hey, this windscreen coating is quite good. Like people don't have no idea whether or not I've got any idea about what I'm talking about. So
now everyone's going to go out and buy it. Everyone's going to go out and buy it.
No, I'm not suggesting that, but it's like this, like when you kind of think about it like that, it's like this weird that word. Yeah. It's like the Matrix. You don't know what reality is anymore because you don't know who to believe.
Do you
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird.
By the way, Keanu Reeves giving all his crew those Submariners was a really cool thing. I don't know if anyone's seen that. That was a very cool thing. You know that there's an old story though where he gave some of his crew Harley Davidsons after some movie as well. You know, so I thought the watch thing was a really, really cool thing. How
do you get so many?
Well, that is the question, isn't it? How do you get a watch that is not available anywhere? Good question.
How many did he? There was a picture, like there was at least
more than one person can go to a shop. Oh, you go into a Rolex store. Can I buy 7 Submariners?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Sure.
Like, how did he manage to buy 7? Like, I know he's Keanu Reeves, but like, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a strange one. But it was a good story. All right, Steve.
It's like walk into a Porsche dealership. Can I have 7 GT3s, please?
They just laugh at you, wouldn't they? In Sydney, they laugh at you. They'd laugh at me.
Anyway.
But I was just going to say, you know, when you recommend, we're going to go. When you recommend your products like that, you should say where you get it from, right? And then tell the listeners that anyone in Australia that wants it to mention your name. And then the next time you buy something, you get a discount. This is what you do when you're an influencer, Steve, when you're a podcast host.
I don't want to be an influencer. I don't want to be an influencer. I don't want anyone to know who I am. I know that's weird, sort of saying being on this thing with you, but
the man who is known as Steve. That's all they know, Steve.
Yeah,
that's it.
That'll do.
Who drives a GT3 very fast with a very loud exhaust. Not even that.
I'll tell you what, I'm hanging to get it back.
Yeah, how are you getting out there? You're gonna have to get a taxi.
No. I get Autohouse's loan car.
Oh, what's that? Boxster?
It's a Polo. Oh. No, it's a Polo.
Oh, nice. All right, mate, let's go.
It's an upgrade. They used to have like this shitty Corolla, which Grant used to call the Corolla Royce or something like that. But yeah, no, loan car.
Oh, that's good.
I ain't getting on public transport, mate.
I can understand that. All right, mate, let's go. Thanks.
Okay, cool. Cheers.
Anything you want to say to the listeners before we go?
No.
All right, everyone.
That's it.
That's it. I was just throwing in the owner stories thing there for you, Steve. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. That's Steve coming in from Sydney. Steve has the 997.1 GT3, the fast one. I have the 997 Carrera, the slow one. And Marco has, what does Marco have? Marco has the fastest one, doesn't he?
996 turbo.
The fastest.
Marco and I are laughing. I know you're trying to sign off, but Marco and I are laughing because we reckon like the first drive that we kind of do, like straight after that, the first thing that you'll be doing is going out and buying something quicker.
Yeah, probably. See what happens. It's all exciting though. Yep. Looking forward to it. 2 more weeks actually. Leave London in 2 weeks, and I'm seriously not even half organised. It's pretty scary, but anyway, see what happens.
2 weeks, is it? Wow.
Yeah, we leave in 2 weeks. We leave at this. We got a stupid flight on in the morning, so we have to. It's basically 2 weeks from today.
Yeah, cool.
All right, mate.
Good, really good.
Talk to you soon.
Cool.
Talk to you next week.
See ya.
Thanks, mate.
Bye.
All right, everyone. That's about it for today. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.